this direction and this. What you can do is, when you draw on a paper, it is always better to take a different pen, or you take double arrows. So double arrows gives me the root locus, and other things will be asymptotes and centroid points. So this is the complete root locus for the given system. GH of is equal to k divided by s into s plus 2 into s plus 4. Now what is the analysis on this? What is the analysis? Once this is available, I said it is not the end of the story. So we need to do something with this. What is that something? In the problem it is asked that find the range of k values for its transient responses. So what are the transient responses? You know, the transient responses are undamped, underdamped, critically damped and overdamped. And these transient response is basically due to a pair of poles nearer to the imaginary axis. Your system may have some 10 poles. Out of 10 poles, 2 poles will be nearer to the stable system. 2 poles will be nearer to the imaginary. Due to the 2 poles which are nearer to the imaginary, we will be getting the transient response. And how those 2 poles are? We know very clearly, if those 2 poles are imaginary, then the system response will be undamped response. If those 2 poles are complex conjugates, system response is underdamped. When those 2 poles are equal and real and equal, it is a critically damped. When they are real and equal, it is we have overdamped response. So to know this, we need to calculate the k value. Once you know the k value, then we can find the range of these particular responses. So what I can do is, first I am going to use the rule to find the k value. Now in this problem, at this break point, I want to calculate what is k. What is the formula available? K is equal to LP1, LP2, LP3 and so on, divided by LZ1, LZ2, LZ3 and so on. So in this problem there are no zeros at all, therefore LZ1, LZ2 that will be 1 only. Now LP1, LP2, LP3 we should calculate at point P, break point. So we know the distances. What I will do is, at this break point, then from s is equal to 0 to break point we know the distance. It is a distance, it is not the point. It is a distance. The distance will be 0.845. This is your LP1. What is LP2? From this point to the second pole. Second pole is at -2. That means the distance will be 2 minus of 0.845. You will be getting 1.155. So this is your LP2. Now similarly LP3. LP3 is from this point to the break point to the pole s is equal to -4. The distance you can measure it. The distance is very clear, 3.155. So you just multiply all these things, you will be getting the k value as 3. That means at k is equal to 3, these 2 poles will be at break point. Okay. Now we can easily analyze. So what is the maximum k value at ICP at imaginary crossover point? That is 48. So at 48 you will have 2 poles on imaginary, and when k is equal to 0, 2 poles are from 0 and s is equal to -2. Then what I can say is, when k is in between 0 and 3, these 2 poles will be on real axis only, but they are real and unequal. Real unequal is overdamped case, and that condition exists if the k value is in between 0 and 3. So k range is 0 and 3 to have overdamped, then the corresponding your closed loop poles will be real and unequal. At exactly k is equal to 3, it is critically damped because your 2 poles are real and equal. Now from 3 to 48, in between 3 to 48, my 2 poles will be in complex. Then what I can say, the system response is underdamped. Exactly k is equal to 45, the system response is undamped. So I have the complete range of k to have the transient responses. So I just summarize that 0 to 3 is overdamped, k is equal to critically damped, and 3 to 48 in between is your underdamped, and k is equal to 48 is your undamped. So undamped response is also called marginally stable condition, or we can call critically stable condition, or we can call oscillatory response. So this way we can find out K ranges. So what is the next step? Second part of the problem. In second part of the problem, damping ratio is given 0.707. For this damping ratio, again the damping ratio is because of the two poles which are nearer to the imaginary. The poles, the pair of poles nearer to the imaginary axis are called dominant poles of the system, because because of those poles only we are getting the transient response. They are called dominant poles. Whatever the poles which are away from the imaginary, out of those two, called insignificant poles. So we don't have any significance when you are talking about only transient response. Now, so you take the zeta value is 0.707, and we know the formula cos phi is equal to zeta. Then what will be the phi value? Cos inverse 0.707. Therefore, that is going to be 45 degrees. So phi is angle is 45 degrees. Now what I will do is, the S-plane or the complete root locus is available, but out of this root locus, what I will do is, I will draw a vector from origin into the left of the S-plane, okay, in this direction by taking 45 degrees. So the angle generally we take in anti-clockwise direction if it is a negative angle. But if the angle is positive angle, we should take clockwise direction. Here the angle is positive, 45 degrees is positive. So I will measure from the right side. So if you measure from the right side, take the line. Now when you draw the line, project on the root locus. So root locus is available. This is what the root locus is. Now I am projecting this line. When it is projecting the line, it is touching the root locus. That point is P. At that point, find out what is the K value. How to find the K value? From that point to, you draw the vectors to all the poles on zeros. In this case, we have only 3 poles. So draw from this point to 0, this pole, and this point h is equal to -2, and from this point h is equal to -4. Draw the vectors, name it LP1, LP2, LP3. Take the scale and measure it. So once you measure it, then we can substitute in the formula K is equal to LP1, LP2, LP3. So you will be getting the K value as nearly about 2.45. So at this value you have zeta value 0.707. This is approximate value, because whatever you draw here, so that is not the exact value, it is approximate. And this we can draw using the software called MATLAB. When you draw in MATLAB, you will get the exact graph and the exact value of K. But analytically and manually, we can draw the graph like this, and you can find out the K value. As I said, we can also use the magnitude condition to find the K value. That also we can do it.